edition of Metaphysical Meltdown. I'm so happy to have my friend Kelly Kelleher here with us today on this beautiful Sunday morning. Of course, I'm just hoping it's a beautiful Sunday morning because, as you all know, it's really Wednesday. So we are talking about her business, Haunted Healings, and we're talking about paranormal today. We're talking about guides and beings and folks that help us all the time. We're just really happy to have you with us. I'm so happy to have you with me. Thank you, sweetheart. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know, but these guys don't. So just give me the overview of you.
I have a group called Haunted Healings, and we're not ones that go out and seek ghosts. We're ones that go and heal the energies. If we believe that if a spirit calls or makes its presence known, we will go there and help heal the situation or try to understand what's going around and bless and consecrate that sacred space. So that's kind of in a jest of what Haunted Healings does. But we use every aspect, every religion, every tradition, depending on the situation. And it's just a wonderful way of continuing the unconditional love and making a difference in the world. Because we never know if, for whatever reason, that could be us one day trapped for some reason. There's a lot of limestone and quartz underneath the ground, and that can hold energies, and people sometimes can't cross over. So we go over there. If a spirit manifests and says, I need help, or is doing something to cause some kind of aggression, or anything from books falling down, or they're seeing presences, or there could even be physical aspects to that they need help with. We will go there and figure out what's going on and then heal it, send it to the light. And after all, we're all walking each other home. So it's like that could be us one day. So it's about, if a spirit asks for help, we need to be there to help. Not like we're some places where they continue and keep the place haunted. They don't want to let these spirits go. The thing is, if they're meant to be there, they will cross over and come back if they're supposed to be.
Sure.
So
but be in the light at that point, right? Like a guardian or
or
something.
Right. Many do.
And how long have you been doing this?
For over 35 years, but I'm 29.
Okay. Probably many lifetimes. And
yes.
So how do people find you, though? How do they find you?
We have a group on Facebook called Haunted Healings, and there's hauntedhealings.com and hauntedhealings@gmail.com. And then I have a couple other websites, too, that I can share. Okay. And before that, we used to just go on myspace.com. I believe Haunted Healings is still there, but we send everyone to Facebook. And then by word of mouth. So, and this is international. We have 33 groups worldwide who are doing this as well. So it's very, very awesome.
That is great. So people call you up and they say something like, I'm having things move around in my house. So how do you handle that from the first phone call?
Very first phone call, we listen to that, and then we have them write it down. There's a real concept between, and as we heard last night at the showcase too, where you sit down and you write. It's a connection, and you're able to see that as well. Once they write it down, then we get a group together and we discuss and talk with the person. Unless it's out of the area that we're in, then we'll have other groups go over there. And they discuss, and we get psychics who come in and they can feel and sense the energies. We have people who do history. And so it's a whole process, kind of what you do see on TV, but with the different aspect of, we're not looking to say, oh, did you see that or hear this? We're just trying to figure out what is really the problem, and is it something that is subconscious, maybe with the person or the families? Is it a poltergeist type of energy with their hormones and things like that? Or there's also additions that go with the poltergeist and things too. It's not just a hormonal thing. So it's a process, but basically the underlying message is, what is going on? How can we help and make a difference? And is this someone crying out for help?
So I was at the Ghost Conference this last weekend, and as I was going to the bathroom, I was listening to a speaker. I wasn't even sure, I don't even know who it was, because there were so many people there. And the speaker was saying, draw the line between paranormal investigators and ghost hunters. And then I would also ask, what you do is a whole different thing too. You actually go in there and help them, and that's a whole different thing. Luckily, there were lots of people at the Ghost Conference that believe in the same way you do.
Awesome.
And I heard many people up there on stage talking about how they go into the situation with utmost respect for whatever's going on, and all they do is help. And that's what we want to promote, really, is that there's no need to, say, hey, make a noise, and what are you doing, and what, be overly emotive like that, that I know that you are all about going in there for help. So let's just, if you would, talk about some of the things that you've seen in your work, if you would.
And if I could just add to that real quick.
Sure.
This part is about love. When you walk in a situation and you walk in with pure unconditional love, that's a whole different energy, and the spirits, the entities, the energies, whatever, tend to listen.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to stop. It's not about making chaos, or it's like they're finally being heard. There's a message that needs to get out, and that's what that's about as well. So it makes a big difference, because people who go in and antagonize, and they think it's one thing, so they call out this, let's say they think somebody hurt somebody a long time ago and that energy is still there. Chances are that energy is not there, or that spirit, but maybe some of that energy and other layers and upon layers upon layers
Mm-hmm.
of energies are there as well. So our aspect is to go in there and nothing aggressive, because there is no reason to go in and antagonize somebody and be a bully. That's
No.
not about healing. That's not about even really saying there's a ghost. That's about, look at me, ego type of thing. This has nothing to do with ego. This is about there's a need. Let's see if we can help. If we can, wonderful. If not, the very least we can do is bless the land,
Mm-hmm.
the energies, put crystals, and just put the love of divinity all around to help heal that. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's just something that happened. We've had certain places where there were massacres and situations like that where we just bless that whole thing, because there's just too much. There's too much energy, and it would take many, many thousands of people to come together to try to clear that out. But putting crystals down there and calling on divinity and setting up circle and bringing in the light truly helps to bless and keep that space sacred, and it changes the energy and the vibration.
Right, and then a lot of what you do also is to teach the family, let's just say it's a house,
Mm-hmm.
to teach the family, this is how you understand what's going on, what you can do for your own self. And I think that's so great, because when really you're having something in the house that may harm you, scratch you,
Yes.
push you, things are falling out, might be books out of a bookcase, might be plates out of the cabinet, might be cabinet doors, that's always, or like at our house, things moving down the hall, or stuff getting hidden or whatever. I mean, my house I lived at, a few houses before this house, we had just the feeling, like every night I wanted to just shut that light off and run up to bed. And I didn't necessarily want to run up to bed by myself.
Right.
So I knew something was in there. And then you could see in one room, you could see places where it looked like a pellet gun had been. And we knew all kinds of activity was going on in there. And, we were able to have, luckily, some of my friends that came and helped people cross over. But when the people that were in charge of that group, I was just the bystander, because being the person living at the house, I really didn't have much to do but lend my human energy. So I was standing in the circle, and they were crossing the people over, the souls over that were in the house. And you could feel from the floor up to past my knees the cold energy come up.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out that one soul wouldn't leave without the other. And
That's that part about layers, right?
yes, absolutely.
So you walk into a home that, and even if it's a brand new one that was just built, there's still layers and layers of energies on the land
Mm-hmm.
as well. So that's really awesome. That's a great way, because then you become empowered. When you're able to get tools and understand that this is a process, and that this is, if you are walking in pure unconditional love, there is no higher purpose, there is no higher calling, and there is no higher power. So in doing this, when you walk in this love and you put this energy out, then the person that is in the home feels that love, and they become empowered and go, this is my home at this time in this
Mhm.
life, and they're able to take their power back. They're able to reground and understand a little more. And so when things do happen, if it's fairy energy, like things missing or wind chimes or things like that, that's different. But if there's something there, they can feel the difference. You begin to really awaken. And the thing is, we all have this within us. It's just now is the time that I'm hearing, even in spirit, spirits are saying that they could never have this kind of, we could never fully discuss and share what we know and what we're feeling, because everybody tabooed it. It was all scary, don't talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
just be quiet, just ignore it. But that doesn't work, because if there's something or someone that needs help, they have no alternative. Especially, should I share about little Rachel and
Oh, sure, tell the story.
Sarah?
Absolutely.
So I got a call a few years ago to go to Snohomish, and this woman had just bought this old farm, and it's a little house that used to be a huge farm, and the children had felt there was a little playmate, and it was a little girl, and her name was Sarah. And it started out very nice and very beautiful, and it was just a gentle lady, had a little place for her, and she had her own little bunny and little stuffed animal bunny, and it was a joyful thing. But after about a year, things started changing, where they all felt, her 3 children and herself, felt that something was changing, and they were getting pushed, and books would kind of fall off when nobody was around. Dishes started to fall off here and there. Bathroom door would open and close. The water would turn off, but at different intervals. So it wasn't like every day, but it was getting more and more and more. So she calls me in the middle of the November night, and it was almost a blizzard, and said, "Can you please come here? We are having terrific problems where the water's not stopping. The wind, it's like internal winds that are blowing the curtains. We're terrified. We're all getting pushed. We're supposed to get out, but we don't know where to go." So we drove up there. I got the whole group of Haunted Healings at the time together, and we went over there, and we were able to get them in the car, and then we walked in, and you could see as you were driving up and walking up, it really looked like there was just a internal wind that was blowing these velvet curtains all over. So we called our guardians and our guides, and we set up circle and walked in, and then books like every 5-6 minutes we're going, and this is like,
oh, wow.
this is not an everyday occurrence. This is like one of the 5 out of all the thousands that ever happened. But it was such an amazing experience, because what I got was this little girl, Sarah, who wanted to say goodbye to her sister. She knew that she had died, and what had happened was during October time, it's back in the 1800s, they would go and everybody would bring whatever they had fixed at the farm to sell, their apples and oranges or whatever there was, the hay and the things they made, blankets and all this. So her and her twin sister were sitting in this wagon that was a horse-drawn wagon, and the mom and dad were up front. And back then, to have twins without a hospital, right, and you were lucky if you had a midwife, that was a very successful thing, to have twins that survived, and they were around 8 years old. We figured out it was between 8 and 10 years old. And so her sister, Rebecca, and her were sitting in, I always mix up Rebecca because I get Rachel, the name too. So if I say that, it's still the same one. It must have been a middle name or something. Anyways, the 2 of them were in the back, and they were covered up, and they're going off to go into town, and this is a big deal because they're showing all their wares, and this is the time they have the dance, and you know, and just a big festival, and that's the gossip. There was no TV or anything, so so they're on their way, and something scared them, and what I got, it was like a mountain lion, and it scared the horses, and the horse jumped up, or the horses jumped up, the wagon went back. Rebecca was immediately killed. She broke her neck. Sarah broke her neck, but she stayed another week. Now, again, like I said, having a midwife or giving birth at that time to twins and surviving is a really big deal. So you can imagine the sadness and the sorrow of the village, knowing that they're burying one child and another one's about to go. Well, in Sarah's energy, her thing was, she didn't know her sister had crossed. She didn't even look at that part. She saw the light, but she didn't want to go. And one thing is, in the spirit world, it can be 1,000 years and it happens in a minute. So this is why sometimes you can see spirits from 500-600 years ago, or even way before. If you want to talk about aboriginal time, you can see sometimes that energy come through, and that's just because time is irrelevant. Only on Earth do we have linear time.
Right.
So to her, this just happened. Sarah had just died, but it had been over 120 years. She also, all the sorrow, all the sadness of the village, and the mom losing one daughter, knowing the other's about to go, Sarah hid under that energy. Her soul was like, I'm going to say goodbye to my sister and then I'll go, but not until then. So here we come in, and this is the situation. She wanted her sister now. To her, it was time. I want to go to the light, but I'm not going till I see her. And no matter what kind of convincing we tried to do to tell her that your mom is over there, your sister's over there, your family's over there, all your friends. She would not listen, and she didn't know me, but she was kind of listening because it was all love.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked in spirit, and my grandmother Verna in spirit is always with me. And she told me and showed me this great big chubby orange kitty cat named Pumpkin. And she goes, you have to say the name.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, and mind you, through all of this, books are going by, little toy cars are going by, the water's going on and off, and it's really aggressive. And I'm just like, nobody would believe this. This is like a movie, right? But this was serious. This was a temper tantrum of a little girl that wanted to see her sister now.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, so we all took a deep breath, and then I said, Sarah, hear me, Sarah, your sister's over in the light, and there is Pumpkin, your kitty. And before I could finish, she crossed over. Just in midair, a book fell down and slammed to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The water slowly, after a few minutes, dissipated. We stayed there for a while to make sure that all that energy and cleansed all that sadness and sorrow that she hid under was gone. But she just, that was it, just to say that Pumpkin. So that was like such a wonderful understanding for me and for all of us there, that we could truly make a difference, and that really it was just a little girl that wanted to go home but needed to see her sister and was just staying under that sorrow. And again, in Snohomish, there's tons of limestone and quartz underneath, and limestone and quartz holds energies. Sometimes you'll see spirits that are just in a loop. They're not awakened or educated, or they're not interacting. It's just like a film that's going round and round. But Sarah's was not. She did go home, and it's been almost 7 years now. They've never had a problem. Kids are growing up, and 2 are in college, and she had another one after that, and they're very happy, and it's been wonderful. So that's kind of what Haunted Healings does. We're not going to go and antagonize anybody. We're not going to go and, it's not about machoism. It's just walking in love and light. We don't know the situation, but we are grounded and we are protected by our own angels and guardians, and we understand that divinity, and so we call that in, and we ask them to come and help us.
And there's no feeling like it when finally if somebody's suffering, which I can see too. I can see the soul suffering and not wanting to go. For me, what I learned is the Rainbow Bridge. Even if you're not a pet, for me, it's the Rainbow Bridge. And I can see the soul suffering. Oftentimes, it will be the pet or the beloved family member that you can say, can you just look over there? And if you just would for just a second, you're going to see, and the spirit will always dump it in my head, you're going to see your great Uncle Frank, and there he is. And then sometimes they'll go, oh, it's great Uncle Frank. And then I'll say, can you see the dog? And it'll be like a German Shepherd, a little poodle, a little fuzzy black dog or whatever. And that always melts their heart. And then they go. And you're so right, it's quick.
Because our pets are our
hearts.
They're our elders. They've come here to help us and assist us.
Yeah.
They are nothing but pure love. That's what that's all about. So when they cross over, they really are our family and our connections, which is why it's so important to love animals here and speak for those who cannot speak. Because that also is a being. They are alive. They are sentient. They understand the connections more than we know. You know, they have 1 foot here and 1 in the spirit world, and the other 2 are other places as well.
Yeah, a lot of feet.
But more often than not, there is a pet involved. That I've seen that. So I truly believe about the Rainbow Bridge. I just know that they are also able to come back, because sometimes you can see them, like my Luna, or Willow, either one. I'll see them out of the corner of my eye, the little kitty cats, and they'll just come up. And one time I swore Luna was right by my foot.
Yes.
And I actually just went like this as if she was there. And I swear I heard the purring.
Yes.
I was like, okay. I couldn't see her, but I could feel her.
I have felt that too. I felt them, Sonny, my cat, that he was kind of like the godfather of all the cats, or at least the grandfather for sure. I can feel him jump around. And also our Olive that passed away, I can see her. And our surviving pug will sit really close over to the arm of the chair. And then my husband, there'll be a space between the pug and my husband. I know that's Olive's spot. I've seen her there, and I've seen her move. Like when she passed, like very soon, like 30 minutes after she passed, I could see her come to me across town from where I was. She came to me, I knew she was deceased. So they're very much wanting to say goodbye, that they'll come and say goodbye to you. I've had people come and say goodbye. I've had dreams of people who have just died. And so spirits, souls, however you want to put it, they do everything they can to get us to understand that they're around, don't you think?
Absolutely.
And that's what all the movement is sometimes. They're just trying to get you. What I always say is they're knocking on the door, but you're not picking up the phone. It's kind of opposite, but it really is. It makes people think, hey, wait a minute, they're trying to get a hold of me. That's what it is.
And now it's safe. 60 years ago, if we talked like this, people would be given lobotomies or put in institutions, but now it's safe and yeah.
They probably have hung us in other lifetimes. Huh?
Absolutely.
If we looked like this and talked about healing back in the 1700s or when the witches died, was that I can't remember.
17 and 1600s.
Yeah, when our witch ancestors, who were many times healers,
midwives,
root conjurers, teachers.
Tinctures and teas, and they knew all about the herbs. It was all about, because there were no hospitals or medical doctors per se, especially over here.
Right.
It was all Native American shamanism and all about healing with Mother Earth. And if you ever notice with Mother Earth, wherever there's one thing that could cause harm, there's always something, there's an antidote nearby. So they were totally connected to this. This is what that was all about.
Right, and so many people lost their lives for just manufactured hysteria, and there's still some manufactured hysteria right now that I just got in a conversation with somebody yesterday when I was talking about healing, and it's just healing, kids, everybody, just healing, and she said, is that the devil? And I said, it's a present you get on your birthday. It's a human thing. It's just a human thing. Any of us can really, I always tell people, anybody could do what I do to help people cross.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all have it. It's the gift we got on our birthday. It's being human.
I see what you mean.
That we are our little brains are computers, and we are multi-dimensional avatar beings.
Yes.
Is what we are. And so as soon as folks understand that, we can wake up in this awesome energy. So haunted healings, I mean, that's just the best name. Now, how long has that name been around? Quite a while.
From the very beginning.
Okay, right. And then what do you do in your regular life? You do
I'm
more
also a
things
healer
than that.
and a psychic and a little bit of shamanism, a little bit of, I'm over the board and I'm still learning, and I'm just a teeny grain of sand, so, one little sand, but together, the more we get together, the more we can heal, and it's walking in the pure unconditional love. That is the most sacred part. That is, like I said, that's the ultimate power. So with haunted healings, we teach classes of people who are empaths. Like if you're feeling energies that are not your own, let's say you just had dinner and you're walking in the mall, and 1 minute you feel all of a sudden starving, and the next minute you're feeling sick, the next minute you're feeling like you want to cry, and the next minute something else. We're empathic. We're feeling other people's energies. So we teach ways that you can put this kind of bubble and energy around you so that nothing comes in, but anything that you want can go out, but nothing can come in and affect you. And that helps to change things a lot. Mm-hmm. And then so many of us, when we were growing up, we saw things but we didn't understand. And a lot of times those things, myself included, terrified me, absolutely terrified me, because I didn't understand what it was. And sometimes there are energies that try to stop us from becoming the light that we are and from finding out our own gifts. So haunted healings tries to open that aspect, and that people of any religion, any path, anything, if they have a question, if there's a need, we try to help so that we can all awaken, we can all find whatever is right for us. And I'll just add, the minute that someone says, absolutely, there's only one way, this is it, run, don't walk. Because we are all this beautiful, amazing light. We are all connected to divinity, to unconditional love. I'm going to say that a lot because that's really what it is.
It is.
It is the pure, and in every religion, in every aspect, it's about helping one another and making a difference, because we're all walking each other home. So with haunted healings, we're trying to just incorporate every path and every belief so that we can understand what happened while we were growing up and what we're supposed to do now once we get that understanding. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you don't even have to go back to that energy. You just have to search and find what feels right for you. Because if it scared you and it caused problems when you were a child, it's still there. let's figure out what that was. And many times, more often than not, it's an ancestor and angel that came over to try to tell us something, but it came through in a different way.
Right. Because they try really hard to get our attention, and sometimes they, in all their abilities on the other side, so they always have, you know, the higher ability to see once they've crossed over, but still have to really learn how not to cause us to go, ah! You know, you'd much rather have, with me the other day, they rattled a wooden frame. They went rattle, 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 rattle. Now, and that's totally fine with me. If somebody appeared right in front of me at night in the dark, not probably so easy for me, because it would scare me. Even if I've seen it a million times in my own house at night. Happened when we moved in the house, actually. I was lying in bed and I looked over here and there was a young girl standing next to me. And I did get that, ah, until I just, you know, asked her humbly if she would like to go home. So the power that Kelly talks about is not ego or fear power, like, you know, a lot of groups do. What we are talking about is the awesome power of God, you know, the awesome power of the holy ones, which I talk
whatever
about all
name you
the
want
time.
to call that.
You can call them all, because
goddess,
we're all
divinity,
holy ones.
right.
We're all holy ones. So, you know, get used to speaking to your guides and beings and angels. When we wake up in the morning, it might be, good morning, holy ones. What's to eat for me? What's going on today? What's out in the clouds? You know, that's my thing, is go out and look up, you know, because we were just talking about lots of eagles recently, you know, in the air, and the cloud patterns and the sun patterns, and just all kinds of crazy things that are happening right now when we are waking up. So, gosh, what else do you want to talk about, though? Is there anything else you want to say?
Something came through just a little bit when you said the Rainbow Bridge. So I think somebody needs to hear this. And there are some people who have their own special land, or their home, their forever home, and a little yard. And maybe you're seeing more and more animals come and cross over there. So you like open up and there's 2 or 3 animals that are dead. So I just want to put this out there because we need to get this teaching out there. That means the place is so sacred for them that it was safe for them to go and rest and cross over. It's not a negative thing, it's a positive thing. So somebody needs to hear this so they understand that. When an animal is really in the process of crossing over, they're hurting, right? They need to be away from anything, a predator, or anything that could cause harm. So if they sense there's a light energy, they will go there, and then they're able to cross. And there's always a blessing for this. So just hold on to that. This is part of Haunted Healings too. Just finding out whys. And again, it's not we don't know everything, just a grain of sand, but we know a little bit. So if we all come together, little by little, we'll get even more. But this is really important, especially now with all the angelic light around here and all those humans and animals that are choosing to cross over, because quite a few, you know, and all the circles are elders, especially, who are elders mind-wise, but not physical-wise, but they're just gone within 3 days. And there are so many spirits that end up and just release themselves because they know they can do so much more in spirit than they could ever do here on earth. And many of them are riddled with pain, or have been through so much trauma that they're ready to release, and they've done whatever they need to do. So they go home, they cross over, but they come back and watch and protect and help us along the way. So I just wanted to put that out there.
That's
that just came
good.
through with the Rainbow Bridge. So
while you were saying that, I was thinking about something that I just read this morning. Was somebody on Facebook was saying that they needed their house cleared, and what should they do? So I was watching a gabillion of things people said to do. A gabillion. You can sage all day, and sometimes you're still not going to get to the root cause of it. So what I would say is, please, I'm saying humbly, if you have a problem, find somebody who actually does it. Really, find somebody. Because once you know someone in the metaphysical field, we tend to know a lot of folks, right?
absolutely.
That's why you have to always be really kind to everybody in the metaphysical field, because we all know each other. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, but you have right to, you can discuss things. We're all human, right?
That's
at
right.
that point.
That's
but
right.
again, it really is walking in that love and knowing that we're all trying to make a difference. That's all. So you can always go back to that.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
absolutely.
all different from every spectrum, right? So
yeah, I've met mostly 99.9 awesome people in the metaphysical community.
I agree. And
There's
even the
been a
others,
couple.
there's lessons to learn.
Absolutely. So yeah, we've learned those
I like
lessons,
the way you
haven't we?
said that. Absolutely.
So anyway, what we're saying is get some help if you need it. You don't have to wonder alone to what happened, because sometimes you might be thinking you have one thing, but you really have something else. And it might just be a family member coming to visit. It might be, again, like you were saying, someone on the land. It might be somebody from past times. You might be in a vibration. It might be so many different things. So anything you would like to say, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook at hauntedhealings.com. I do have a book out that's on Amazon just called Haunted Healings. And then I have a revised edition coming out within about 3 weeks. And so that will be on Facebook as well. Or you go to Kelly Kelleher on Facebook.com. And I actually, if I can, I am technologically challenged, but here we go. Celtic Wind Dancer at wixsite.com, and then Facebook Kelly Kelleher at 980, and then Haunted Healings. And then that is about it.
And Tuesday night?
And Tuesday night at the Showcase. Lou J. Free, who is just absolutely phenomenal and awesome, and has been in all kinds of different aspects of spirituality and paranormal. She has a show called the Psychic Showcase Tuesday nights in Federal Way at the IHOP restaurant, and it is amazing the amount of people that come. And in fact, that's how we met, even though I feel like I've known you my whole life, and
oh, sure.
I was looking for you my whole life.
Oh, sure, me too. And I've met a lot of great people there, so I do talk about that place a lot because it's meant a ton to me. So it's on 340th in Federal Way at I can't tell you, it's just the IHOP. It's a humble place, but there's some really great people who come through to present. Last night was Donna Sebo. We had Russ Allison, of course, paranormal investigator. We have all kinds of people from all over the place. In fact, coming up, Nancy Rebecca will be speaking at Lakewood Metaphysics. I think it's in 2 weeks, which is the Cars restaurant. That's in Lakewood. There's a lot of showcases around. I know this podcast hopefully is going further than just around here. So if you like what you see on the podcast, please share it if you would. And I really thank you so much for telling people about what. And are you sure you don't have anything else to tell people?
Just that trust your instincts, and when you walk in that love and you truly are calling in your own angels and your own divinity, whatever path that is, trust that. Trust the process. And that we do have the power. We're here in the physical form on earth. So we have a right to have our own homes to be sanctuaries. We have a right to have peace of mind and calmness and joy. And now more than ever, there's so much information on the web and so much information all around. Seek, keep looking. If it doesn't feel right, that's okay. Find someone else or something else. And we're all doing that too. We're not like absolute professionals and this is it. I'm continually studying. I'm continually seeking other elders and advice and inspiration. And maybe just one quick little funny thing.
Sure.
So in Iowa, I had been in a very, very haunted house. And this was when I finally had accepted I need to do the haunted healings. Mm-hmm. And I had 2 wonderful teachers. And the first thing they told me as they were coming in, they said, we were outside talking and we came and they said, do not, under any circumstances, let this energy know you're afraid. You stand your ground, you hold your place. And as soon as they finished that, something showed to them. I never saw it. They ran out the door and left me there. Oh, wow. I was like, okay. And then they came back in and I was like, asked Alvaro, I was like, so what was that you were saying? And he was just like, so it's a funny process because we can all get scared. We can all learn something. There is nobody above us and no one below us. We are all trying to walk each other home, trying to make a difference and trying to have a beautiful life here and to help others as well. And we can do this. There's a reason we've been feeling these callings. There's a reason we see things and sense things. Let's develop that more and see how much more we can connect. And it has nothing to do with your political beliefs. It has nothing to do with the everyday type of things. It's about who you are as a beautiful spirit that is given divinity and time right now to experience and become. We are all part of divinity. It's kind of like there's this beautiful, magnificent, we could call it a globe of beautiful tiles, right? Mm-hmm. And as we're born, somehow parts of those tiles fall down and crash to earth. Each one of us are picking up a piece of that and recognizing that we are all a spark of divinity. Mm-hmm. And as long as we work on that eventually we go back home and we replace it as it was before. So if that's a better way to understand it, is that all of you are beautiful and all of you are worthy. And if you hear anything from the past, or there's messages that are coming through that you're not good enough and you're not worthy, put your hand up and say enough is enough. Game over. That has nothing to do with me. I'm not responsible for how I was raised. I'm not responsible for any abuse that came through, but I'm responsible now for me, and I want to make a difference for the world. And walk on those beautiful blessings and essences, and I promise you there'll be a point where you'll truly be able to walk on water.
Or at least levitate.
Oh yeah, and then interdimensional. Let's go.
That's right. I'm thinking that big bowl.
Another show,
the big bowl that I fell out of. I must have really crash landed to go this way. You know, and the other thing, there was something I was going to say. I can't remember. That was so beautiful. I think the messages that some of us are getting now is that find a group to be in, because I don't know, I've heard that we sort of rise up and ascend in the groups that we're in sometimes.
True.
And I'm just wondering if that's why the message comes out to other channels, to find a group to be in now. I know that I sure have learned so very much from coming to the showcase and the other things that I do, that I wouldn't have missed that for the world. It really helped me to grow. So if anybody out there needs somebody like Kelly, please to find her. You can find her on Facebook, Kelly Kelleher. You can get a hold of her and she will help you if you've got something going on in your house. So don't suffer alone. Find yourself someone to help. I thank you everyone for tuning in. Please come back next week. It's going to be, for my lovely guest, will be Michiko Hayashi from the Peace Project. So she's all about water, and I'm sure some of you have heard her on the radio. We were lucky enough to record her interview last week, and it's going to be running next week. So please have an awesome weekend this weekend, and we'll see you next time. Lots of love. Bye-bye.